walking with the ghost.
It's a beautiful day in this neighborhood, a beautiful day for a neighbor. Would you be mine? Could you be mine? Please won't you be my neighbor? Hello, neighbor.
And who didn't want to be Mr. Rogers' neighbor? I'll be taking a look at A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, international trailer number 1. Now, this movie is coming out this coming 22nd, this month, November. So why don't you come join me and let's check out the trailer. Wow.
We're doing an issue on inspirational people.
Who?
Mr. Rogers,
Hello, neighbor.
the beloved children's television host.
Steve Lottie.
Good to see you again today.
You hired me as an investigative journalist. I don't do puff pieces.
400 words. Play nice.
Mr. Rogers, I'm here to interview you.
It is so nice to meet you.
This piece will be for an issue about heroes. Do you consider yourself a hero?
No, not at all. Oh, I like that.
That
I insisted he read you before we agreed.
And did he?
Every article we could find.
You okay?
I'm profiling Mr. Rogers.
On our program, I tried to look through the camera into the eyes of a single child.
look at that.
He's just about the nicest person I've ever met. I just don't know if he's for real.
Lloyd, please. Don't ruin my childhood.
All these people line up to tell you their problems. That would be an incredible burden on you.
Sometimes we have to ask for help, and that's okay.
You love broken people like me.
I don't think you were broken. We need to let people know that each one of them is precious.
Roll sound. Daniel, you set?
I'm set.
Thank you, Daniel.
Did she just talk to the puppet?
Please don't talk.
Yeah. That's the one thing I didn't mention in my last, when the trailer dropped some months ago, is that you even see him dressed in, like, I believe that was Arsenio Hall's jacket. If you guys remember the classic, Arsenio Hall show back in the late 80s into the early 90s, Mr. Rogers, if I'm not mistaken, if I remember correctly, he came on, and you know how he always puts on his sweater, right? He takes off his, outside jacket and he puts on a sweater. And then he asked Arsenio, can I try your sweater on? I mean, not your sweater, but your jacket on. And he does, and, he looked good in it. He looked cool, and a lot of times some people say that, oh, that's not what Mr. Rogers is known for, is looking cool and being cool. He's himself. He's a very humble guy, very sweet guy. He's very just, very casual, but that was like a thing when he did that. It was like it was pretty cool. It was like a really cool moment on the show. For him to take, get Arsenio Hall's jacket. And Arsenio Hall is known for having those really flashy, colorful jackets. Some of them have like imprinted on them, like, believe sometimes it would be his face or some other, it's just weird. It's just the way his jackets were. They were very, very flashy. You didn't think Mr. Rogers wore that. And he wore it for that show, and I believe he wore it for his whole interview. And you see a little glimpse of it towards the end, and it was also in the first trailer too. This trailer, it adds just a few more things to it. If I'm not mistaken, I believe that's Christine Lottie, who plays, I guess, a producer. And then you see the familiar, Daniel, the little puppet, and and just the other familiar ones. You know, it's been so long since I've seen Mr. Rogers that I have to try to remember the names of the puppets and the train and people in the neighborhood. But I grew up on it, and it's been a while since I have seen Mr. Rogers and shows, but it does stay with you. It does really, really fill your heart with with hope, with goodness, with all the stuff that really our country needs right now. And Mr. Rogers is someone who is really sorely missed, a person like him. I'm not saying there aren't people out there like that. I'm sure there are, but where are they? Where are these people who just aren't caught up in all of the nonsense? That he wants to, just like what Mr. Rogers does, he would bring people together, and he would learn about all kinds of culture. He learned about rap. He learned about all kinds of different music. He learns about all kinds of different culture, and he wanted to always learn something. And then he passed that on to his his followers, his his viewers, his people who were fans of his and watched his show. And I like how they showed a little bit of his interaction with kids. One kid that looked like it was hooked up to something, had a tube in her nose or his nose, and some other kids too. And that's what he was about, learning about people and their ailments or their physical disabilities and stuff like that. And he would just handle them so kindly and so gently, and would get down to their level. He would get on his knee, kneel down, and he would talk to them. And that's what Mr. Rogers was all about. And I find myself kind of getting emotional because he was such a good guy. And this guy was out to, this journalist was out to find, any kind of, dirt on him. And he couldn't find it. And he ends up becoming one of his friends, And that's the thing that is great, when you see somebody who is genuinely good and you can't find nothing wrong with them. There are people now who, they want to find dirt on somebody, whether it be in Hollywood, politics, whatever. They'll go way back. You know what I mean? Way back, and say that, oh, you said this word, or you said that. Or, they take it out of context, and then they use that as a way to ruin somebody. And he couldn't do that with Mr. Rogers, back then. And I'm pretty sure that with social media as it is, they probably still wouldn't get nothing on it. That's just the kind of person that he was. And Tom Hanks embodies this role. You forget that he's Tom Hanks. You see all the, the glowing reviews, 4 stars, 5 stars all around. And it doesn't surprise me. And this is a movie I don't care if I'm tired that day. I don't care if I got stuff to do. I'll make an effort to go check out this film. And hopefully you guys do too, because Mr. Rogers was legit. The nicest guy you would ever know. No drama, no scandal, nothing. The guy was, a superstar. He was a guy who, the guy asked him, do you think yourself a hero? Do you believe yourself as a hero? You think you're a hero, He's doing an expose on heroes, right? And he's like, you could kind of see him pause, It never shows what his answer is, but I'm pretty sure he said, no, I don't. But Mr. Rogers, we think of you as a hero because of what you did and because of what you stood for. Was really an amazing lesson that you taught us all. Just to be kind to one another and to love one another, and to accept other people for what they are and learn about them. That's what we all should do, and Mr. Rogers teaches us that lesson. Well, that's my reaction to The Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, the international trailer number 1. But this is coming out, a week and a half before it drops in theaters. So this definitely will be the last trailer before it comes out. But for those of you who stopped by and checked out my video, I appreciate it. And in closing, and as always, take care.